As I always do, I'm going to start off with the bodywork and getting that painted, and then moving on to the rest of the parts in the other stages of the build while the body is still curing, of course. Now firstly, I'm going to glue on some of the side skirts, the bumper front and rear, because those can be glued on before painting without any interference later on with them being already glued, and making it a lot easier, of course, to color match it and also not have the chance to ruin it later on once it's all painted by gluing it. With those all permanently glued in place, I could move on to scuffing down the body with some 600 grit. And finally, before I'm moving on to primer, I'm going to scribe out all of the panel lines to make them a bit deeper and not just disappear after a couple coats of paint. Hard to reach, easy to forget spots first, as always, and then we're going to move on to a couple light coats on the rest of the body as well. First coat went on nice and smooth, no real imperfections whatsoever, so time to fill up the airbrush again, set it aside for about 5 minutes, and move on to the second and final coat of primer. The second coat of primer went on just fine too. So about 15 minutes of curing time before I could start smoothing it out to make it as smooth as I possibly can for the color to lay down onto it and remove any dust that might have fallen into it as well. On these E36s, I really like the look of them in either a dark blue or a purple color. Now luckily BMW has made several versions of blue and also several versions of purple. I did the sedan version in a Techno Violet, and now I'm going to do this one to go alongside it in the Daytona Violet. It's a purple, a really nice metallic, and a bit lighter and brighter, and really comes out in different lighting situations. the first coat on, it's covering really nicely. About 5 minutes of cure time is enough on this resin body, and then I can move on to the second and third coats afterwards. The third and final coat of color is on. It's covered really nicely, and about 15 minutes of cure time is enough for me to place the decals on top. I formed them with some decal setting and softening solution, let that cure for a bit, and then of course moved on to the clear coat to make this all nice and shiny. The decals conform to shape and in place nicely. After a bit of curing time, I moved on to carefully starting to remove all of the dust that might have fallen onto the body by just blowing over it with some air through the airbrush. I mixed up the clear according to the ratio on the packaging, and then started on those hard to reach, easy to forget spots, and moved on to a nice light coat on the rest of the body as well. The first light coat is on, so I let it sit and cure for about 5 minutes and applied a second coat in the same way I did the first. Not really going too heavy, just getting it covered and making it glossy. Again, the second coat is applied, 5 minutes of cure time have passed, so I can move on to the third and final coat to make this really nice, glossy, and even all over. I tried doing it in multiple thin layers, but it wasn't really working out the way that I wanted it to, so the third one is the one that has to count, and I'm needing to make it really smooth. The third and final coat is on, and I'm really happy with the way that it looks by now. As you can see, there is still some texture. Now, strange enough, from my point of view, it all looked like this. Now, in the end, it is a couple days later, the paint is dried, and there indeed is some texture, so we will need to sand and polish that out. Luckily, it's only the roof and the hood. The sides, front, and rear are totally fine, so we don't need to focus on those easy to sand through spots and all those sharp edges and corners, just a couple flat sections, which can be done in a couple of hours of polishing. So we'll do that in an upcoming video. In the next one, I will start on the interior.